Breaking news. The Middle East stands on the brink of a new war. What this means for global security and your future. Ladies and gentlemen, what we're witnessing is not just another regional conflict. It's a potential catalyst for a global crisis that could affect every one of us. Last night, Iran crossed a dangerous red line by launching approximately 200 ballistic missiles at Israel, marking an unprecedented escalation in Middle Eastern tensions. Let me paint you a clear picture of what's unfolding. 4 precious lives lost, over 70 people wounded, and residential areas struck in the heart of Israel. But here's what should really make you pause. Iran wasn't just targeting military installations. They were aiming at the Israeli general headquarters in Tel Aviv, missing by just 5 kilometers. Think about that. A strategic missile attack on a sovereign nation's military command center. The Israeli response? Their sophisticated air defense systems intercepted most missiles, demonstrating technological superiority. But make no mistake, this is just the opening move in a much larger game. Israeli forces are already reportedly operating freely in Iranian airspace, even over Tehran itself. What's particularly telling is Netanyahu's direct appeal to the Iranian people, calling for them to stand against their leadership. This isn't just military posturing. It's a clear signal of regime change intentions. When you add Reza Pahlavi's voice to this chorus, you're looking at a coordinated effort to reshape the entire Middle Eastern power structure. The implications are staggering. We're not just talking about regional stability. We're looking at potential impacts on global oil prices, international trade routes, and the entire world economic system. For our viewers, this could mean significant changes in energy costs and market stability in the coming months. The question isn't just about what happens next in the Middle East. It's about how these events will reshape our world order. Will this escalation trigger a broader conflict? Could this be the spark that ignites a new global crisis? Write in the comments where you're watching from. Your perspective on these events matters more than ever as we navigate these uncertain times together. The Middle East stands on the precipice of a potentially catastrophic escalation. Iranian leadership's response to recent events demonstrates both calculated restraint and underlying determination. While state media maintains a posture of strength, behind closed doors, Tehran's military strategists are weighing options that could reshape regional dynamics. What's particularly striking is how Iran's defensive capabilities were compromised with surgical precision. The operation's execution reveals sophisticated intelligence gathering and pinpoint accuracy that few believed possible against Iran's hardened installations. Foreign military experts suggest this marks a paradigm shift in modern warfare capabilities. Sources within Iranian military circles hint at a multi-layered response brewing. The Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps has reportedly activated sleeper cells across multiple countries, though this remains unconfirmed. Iran's extensive network of proxy forces remains largely intact, despite recent setbacks. Most concerning are reports about Iran's nuclear program acceleration. While Western intelligence remains cautious in their assessments, Russian military analysts suggest Iran may be closer to weapons-grade enrichment than previously estimated. The situation mirrors historical patterns where seemingly decisive strikes against Iran ultimately strengthened its resolve. Russia's strategic interests in the region add another layer of complexity, as Moscow carefully calibrates its response to protect vital partnerships. For those watching from abroad, your perspective on these developments is valuable. How do these events impact your region? Share your thoughts. Your local insight helps build a more complete picture of this unfolding crisis. Want to stay updated on how Russia's strategic interests play into this evolving situation? Subscribe to our channel. What's troubling is the silence from certain key players. The next phase of this conflict could redefine power dynamics across the entire region, and signs point to an imminent dramatic shift that few seem prepared for. Would you like an analysis of events in your region? Let me know where you're watching from. The stakes couldn't be higher, and what happens next may surprise even seasoned observers. Here's a 2,000-character news analysis of the Iran-Israel conflict. Breaking news. Middle East tensions escalate as Iran and Israel exchange major strikes. The diplomatic chess game in the Middle East has transformed into a dangerous military confrontation. Iran's planned nuclear talks with the U.S., scheduled for June 15, have been abandoned following Israeli military actions. This marks a significant shift from diplomatic engagement to military escalation. In a symbolic move, Iran raised the red flag of revenge at the Jamkaran Mosque in Qom. While this gesture has precedent, including after the 2022 Shah Cheragh attack, the current context carries more weight given the scale of military operations that followed. Initial reports from Tehran claimed 800 drones were launched against Israel. However, Israeli Defense Forces documented roughly 100 drones, all of which were successfully intercepted. This disparity in numbers highlights the fog of war and competing narratives in this conflict. The human cost has been severe. Iranian media outlet Noor News reported 78 deaths and 329 injuries from strikes on Tehran's residential areas. The tragic loss of 4 children has particularly intensified public sentiment. These civilian casualties have become a rallying point for Iran's nuclear ambitions, with officials arguing that nuclear deterrence is necessary for national security. The situation escalated further when Iran launched approximately 200 ballistic missiles toward Israel. The 24-hour gap between Israel's initial strike and Iran's response suggests temporary disruption of Iranian military capabilities, possibly due to the elimination of key military leaders and damage to launch facilities. Key observations: diplomatic channels are now frozen. Military responses have been calculated rather than impulsive. Civilian casualties are driving escalation. Nuclear deterrence rhetoric has intensified. Regional stability hangs in the balance. What do you think about these developments? Share your thoughts in the comments. I believe my viewers are intelligent experts, and I'm genuinely interested in your perspective. Title: Iran's Strategic Response. Analyzing the recent escalation and future scenarios. The recent military exchange between Iran and Israel has revealed significant discrepancies in initial reporting. While early estimates suggested 1,000 missiles, actual figures show approximately 100 missiles launched simultaneously, followed by several smaller waves of dozens each. This correction highlights the importance of verified intelligence over initial speculation. Supreme Leader Ayatollah Khamenei's address to the Iranian nation marked a critical moment in this confrontation. Speaking in the name of Allah, he condemned what he termed Zionist regime atrocities, particularly emphasizing attacks on residential areas. His promise of severe retribution signals a clear escalation in regional tensions. Looking forward, military analysts identify several potential scenarios for Iran's next moves. The most probable course of action appears to be targeting U.S. military installations across the Middle East. This network spans multiple countries including Bahrain, Egypt, Iraq, Jordan, Kuwait, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, Syria, and the UAE, housing approximately 40,000 American troops. Historical precedent supports this analysis. Following the 2020 assassination of General Qasem Soleimani under Trump's administration, Iran's Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps launched retaliatory strikes against American facilities in Iraq, resulting in over 100 casualties. More recently, in January 2024, pro-Iranian forces demonstrated their capability to penetrate U.S.-based defenses in Jordan, resulting in American casualties. This pattern of escalation suggests Iran may be preparing for a broader strategic response, potentially targeting multiple U.S. installations simultaneously. The presence of numerous American bases in the region provides multiple potential targets, while Iran's demonstrated missile capabilities indicate they possess the means to execute such attacks. What do you think about Iran's potential next moves? Share your analysis in the comments. I believe my viewers are thoughtful experts, and I'm eager to hear your perspective. Title: Iran's Strategic Options, a deep dive into potential military moves. In today's analysis, we're examining Iran's potential military strategies following recent escalations. Let's break down 3 critical scenarios that could reshape the Middle Eastern geopolitical landscape. First, U.S. military bases across the Middle East present themselves as prime targets for Iranian strikes. Unlike Israel's robust Iron Dome, these facilities have more vulnerable air defense systems spread across vast territories. However, Tehran must weigh this option carefully. Any attack would inevitably draw direct U.S. military intervention, significantly escalating the conflict. The second scenario involves targeting U.S. allies in the region: Saudi Arabia, Kuwait, UAE, Qatar, Bahrain, or Iraq. Iran's military doctrine emphasizes asymmetric warfare, using these nations as pressure points against Washington. Tehran has been crystal clear. Any country providing assistance to U.S. or Israeli operations, including airspace access, will face consequences. However, this path seems increasingly unlikely. Iran has recently made significant diplomatic progress with its Gulf neighbors, particularly Saudi Arabia. In the current Israeli-Iranian tensions, Riyadh's neutral stance highlights the value of these improved relations. Jeopardizing these diplomatic achievements would be strategically unsound. The third option, perhaps Iran's most powerful card, involves blocking the Strait of Hormuz. This crucial waterway handles approximately 1/6 of global oil production and 1/3 of natural gas supplies. A blockade would send shockwaves through global energy markets, potentially forcing international powers to reconsider their positions. Each scenario carries significant risks and potential benefits for Iran. The most probable course appears to be targeted strikes against U.S. military installations, as this option maintains focus on military targets while avoiding broader regional diplomatic fallout. What do you think about these potential scenarios? Share your analysis in the comments. I'm confident my viewers have valuable insights to contribute to this discussion. Title: Iran's Strategic Options, From Economic Warfare to Human Leverage. The current situation in the Middle East presents several concerning scenarios for potential Iranian responses. Let's analyze the most likely strategies Tehran might employ. First, consider the Strait of Hormuz option. Iran possesses the capability to block this crucial maritime choke point, as demonstrated by previous regional precedents. The Houthi movement's successful disruption of Red Sea shipping lanes proves that such operations are feasible with even limited resources. However, this strategy comes with a significant caveat. China, Iran's primary trade partner, heavily relies on this route for approximately 50% of its oil imports. While this action would indirectly impact U.S. and Israeli interests, it risks alienating Beijing, a crucial alliance Tehran can't afford to lose. The human factor presents another strategic avenue. Iran's historical pattern of leveraging dual citizens for political gain deserves careful attention. The large Iranian-American diaspora, established after the 1979 revolution, provides Tehran with potential bargaining chips. Recent history shows the effectiveness of this approach. In 2023, Iran secured the release of $6 billion in frozen assets from South Korean banks in exchange for 5 U.S. citizens. Most concerning is Iran's potential for targeting civilians globally. The regime's track record includes significant attacks like the 1983 Beirut peacekeepers bombing and the 1992 Buenos Aires explosion. These historical precedents suggest Iran's willingness to employ extreme measures when feeling cornered. The Iranian leadership's calculations likely weigh these options against potential consequences. While the Hormuz blockade offers immediate impact, the diplomatic cost might be too high. The dual citizen strategy provides a lower-risk alternative with proven results. What makes you more concerned? Iran's economic warfare capabilities or their potential for targeting civilians? Share your thoughts in the comments below. As informed viewers, your perspectives on these scenarios are particularly valuable. Title: Iran's Strategic Crossroads, Between Desperation and Diplomacy. In recent developments, we're witnessing a critical turning point in Middle Eastern geopolitics. Iran's capability to execute covert operations has significantly diminished, thanks to enhanced Israeli and American security measures. A failed attempt on Israeli citizens in Turkey during 2022 exemplifies this declining effectiveness. Let's analyze the current situation objectively. Iran stands at a crossroads, facing increasingly limited options. Their air defense infrastructure lies in ruins, and despite their bold rhetoric, they haven't managed to down a single Israeli aircraft, even as Israeli forces operate with apparent impunity in their airspace. This reveals a stark military reality that Tehran can't ignore. The Iranian leadership now faces two distinct paths. 1. The martyrdom route. They could choose to fight until the bitter end, embracing a potentially catastrophic conclusion. This aligns with certain Shiite traditions of martyrdom, but could spell disaster for the nation. 2. The pragmatic approach. They could pursue a conditional surrender, abandoning their anti-Israel stance and nuclear weapons program. This would preserve their power structure and prevent further deterioration. However, the situation becomes more complex with the emergence of new military leadership. The replacement generals, stepping in for their fallen predecessors, might adopt more radical positions. There's a real risk they might interpret defeat through a martyrdom lens, leading to rash decisions with regional consequences. The most concerning scenario involves Iran taking desperate measures without considering long-term implications. Such actions wouldn't improve Iran's position, but could severely destabilize the entire region. Critical factors to watch: new leadership appointments, changes in military doctrine, diplomatic back-channel activities, regional allies' responses, economic pressure points. What makes this situation particularly volatile is the combination of wounded pride, military weakness, and ideological determination. What do you think about Iran's options? Do you believe they'll choose pragmatism or take a more radical path? Share your thoughts in the comments. I know my viewers are insightful analysts of these complex situations.